My name is Domity Pongo. I'll be moderating this evening. I'm the news anchor for WVON 1690 AM. I want you all to give yourselves a round of applause for being here, being present, and being focused. Or making sure that we change what's been happening not only in the city of Chicago, but across the country. I'm going to be honest. When the alderman called and asked if I'd be able to moderate this evening, I had to think long and hard about it. Because I look at Philando Castile, I look at Laquan, I look at the people who have been killed at the hands of police officers, and they look just like me. And I wanted to have a discussion, but I wanted it to be, I almost feel like we're past discussion. And so I asked a serious question of the folks who sent over the documents for this evening. They said, well, is this going to be substantive? What are we going to talk about? And they said, well, we're talking about legislation, and we want community input before we figure out how this legislation should go forward, and we want you to be a part of that conversation. And because it's an action-oriented conversation, I went ahead and agreed to come out here. So again, I want to thank you all most humbly for allowing me to moderate this conversation. And I'm really hopeful that we bring about some substantive change. And I want to thank the alderman for thinking to put this together. A few housekeeping rules before we go ahead and get started. You make sure you get your parking validated at the front desk. If you do not get your parking validated, it'll be $50. If you do, it'll be free. All right? So I want to get that out there first. If you do, it will be free. Right, and I would like for the staffers on hand that are helping out this evening to raise their hands, please. All right, so these are the staffers. Put your hands together for them as well, yes. Without them, this would not be coming together. So you guys have filled out slips. If you would like to speak, and Joanna's holding up the slips there. If you would like to speak, those are the slips that you guys will fill out. If you do not have one, let a staffer know, and they'll get a slip for you. Also, if you're, we have Robert. Where's Robert here? Who's with the ASL. Robert is at the back of the room. He'll be signing if you're hearing impaired. That's another resource. Also, if you're bilingual, but Spanish is your stronger language, Abby, toward the back of the room, my left, your right, is going to be the interpreter as well. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. And I would like to welcome the aldermen to introduce themselves at this point in time.
All right, I'm Alderman Scott Wagasback, 32nd Ward.
Alderman Roderick Sawyer, 6th Ward. Alderman John Arena, 45th Ward.
Alderman Rick Munoz from the 22nd Ward.
Alderman Tony Iron Lady Folks, 16th Ward.
Alderman David Moore, 17th Ward.
Alderman Roberts, 30th Ward.
And they'll be speaking this evening. So we'll go ahead and kick it off with the legislative overview by Alderman John Arena and Alderman Roderick Sawyer. They're going to talk about what's been proposed, what they're expecting for the mayor, and they want to hear from you as far as what you like to see as they draft this legislation. Please hands together for Alderman John Arena and Alderman Roderick Sawyer.
Thank you, Domity. Really appreciate you assisting us in this task. As we discuss the potential legislative agenda, the aim of the public engagement is to ensure that as we develop legislation around police reform, it must be observant of best practices developed in major cities like Los Angeles and New York City, as well as community informed, so that it speaks to the problems that are specific to Chicago. We want to speak to the problems and culture that exist in law enforcement, and part of that process is trying to help the community be part of the process of changing the role of our police officers in the communities and build trust between people and the police. Real reform would take the cooperation of all affected parties. Real reform should bring relief to the people of Chicago, and it should also make better law enforcement agents. Meaningful changes will have to address long-term systemic deficiencies that have resulted in the division and tragedy we see on the streets today. John?
We're going to, not right now, we're going to have an opportunity for everybody to speak. We just want to set the tone and the baseline of what we're trying to do here, and then we will allow you to ask questions. So the major legislative efforts we're focusing on are a fully independent and effective body of oversight and investigation. Okay. Yes. Yes. Yes, it is. This is an initiative of the Progressive Caucus of the City Council. Roderick Sawyer from the 6th Ward is the chair of the Black Caucus. Some members of the Progressive Caucus are members of the other caucuses in the council. Okay. This whole agenda, ma'am, that you are right now a little bit taking over, can you let me finish my statements? And many of your questions will be answered. Okay? Thank you. So I'll just start over on this. The major legislative efforts we are focusing on are a fully independent and effective body of oversight and investigation, the establishment of an Inspector General of the Chicago Police Department to ensure and enforce the highest standards of professional ethics and observation of the law and codes of conduct, and a community oversight body made up of Chicago citizens that will help direct and shape the future of the Chicago Police Department. Meaningful reform, meaningful reform to directives and training of law enforcement, especially as it relates to police interaction with the public. In particular efforts we have pushed for as a caucus on crisis intervention training for every officer and eventually every city employee. Clear and succinct codes of conduct and process for grievances against law enforcement agents, as well as clear directives for addressing and disciplining officer misconduct. This is an This is an ongoing process. We want to be as fully informed of all community concerns and experiences in order to properly address them through legislation. We invite you to make us aware of any information you feel is necessary to the process. That is the reason we are here tonight. I want to take a second. I understand Willie Cochran is here. You're welcome to join us on the panel. Thank you for joining us.
Muy buenas tardes. Let me be clear. This is the beginning of a process. The PATF, the Police Accountability Task Force, set forth a series of recommendations that we're hoping to hear from you on what your opinion is on some of those recommendations, and even beyond those recommendations, what should happen so that we, the City Council, members that are here, can take that back to the City Council. We are not going to engage in a give and take of, Alderman, are you for this? No. We want to hear from you first. This is the first of a series of 5 other meetings. ¿Alguien necesita en español? Okay, good. We have a translator in the back, and just in case, I was just double checking. But this is the beginning of a process, so we'd like to hear from as many of you as possible, and therefore we're moving forward with our agenda.
We got you. When we get to the question and answer portion, I promise I got you. And I think there. Oh, go ahead.
If you have an opinion, everything is on. Yes, everything is on the table. The answer is yes. The answer is yes.
No, we're not going to have this. I'm sorry.
The answer is yes.
All right. Let's chill. Let's listen to what they have to say. CPAC. Listen up.
All right, I got you. Up next, I want to bring up Police Accountability Task Force Chair Lori Lightfoot. The first time I had a chance to meet her was at the police board meeting where we talked about what attributes that people want to see in the superintendent. I was like you. I was skeptical, and I didn't know what the intentions of that meeting were and what the outcomes would be, right? Not too long after that, the Police Accountability Task Force released a report that was about 200 pages long. And for the first time ever, I saw in the Chicago Tribune the word racism and Chicago police in the same sentence.
No.
And on accountability. So a lot of your questions hopefully will get answered this evening. So just know, just know. We'll let you know. We'll let you know. Just know. I'm speaking to this just to. I'm just speaking to this just to convey that. One second, gentlemen. One second, gentlemen, sir, please. Please. If you continue, we'll have to have you removed, please, sir. Settle down, chill, settle down. Settle down, let's get to it. This is what this is for. Without further ado, Police Task Force Chair Lori Lightfoot.
I want to thank the Progressive Caucus for organizing this town hall meeting, and I want to thank all of you, so many people from across the city, for coming out tonight. Obviously, these issues of policing, the relationship between the police and the community, and how we are going to conduct ourselves as a city are issues of great importance and clearly raise a lot of passion. I'm here to provide an overview of the work of the Police Accountability Task Force. I want to thank two other members of the task force who are here tonight, Sybil Madison Boyd and Victor Dixon. And I also want to thank those of you who are in the audience who joined with us, a lot of whom with skepticism, but joined with us on a venture that took us about 5 months, tremendous amount of hours, hundreds of interviews, reviewing reams and reams of data from the police department, from the city, and from across the country to get at what was happening in our city with the police department, to separate fact from fiction, and to understand best practices and the path forward. The lady here has talked already about the task force report. Our objective was to hear from you, to reflect what we heard from people all across the city. Many of you, and I've seen many of you since the report was issued in mid-April, have come up to us and told us that the work that we did, in fact, reflected the experience of people across the city. And I want to talk about that for a moment. There's been a lot of discussion about race and policing. And my own personal view is you can't talk about policing in a large urban environment without dealing with issues of race. And in this city, those questions and those issues and challenges really go back decades. And we really worked hard to try to document that reality and that experience of people in this city, because it's an important issue and one that if we don't face it head on, we will not be able to solve any of the other issues and challenges related to policing. So I urge the members of the Progressive Caucus and other council members to, when you're thinking about these issues and the three issues of the ordinance, you have to think about it in the context of race and policing, because really that's the underpinnings of a lot of what I think people have concerns about. Now, we've gotten a lot of criticism, which I also want to address, because people in the press and obviously the FOP has said, well, the Police Accountability Task Force said that police officers are racist. I want to take this opportunity to correct the record again. That is not what we said. What we said is that many people across this city, particularly African Americans, in their experiences with the police, believe that the police are fundamentally racist in the way that they deal with them. That is a difference that is important to make. What we also said is that looking at statistics from the police department, whether it's shootings, whether it's tasers, whether it's stops, whether it is the collection of used to be contact cards, that there is a significant disparity in the way in which African Americans are treated by the police department, and that is borne out by data. That is data that can't be disputed or run from. Now, all of that has to be put into a context, but the truth is that no matter where you are as African American in this city, you are going to have a different experience with the police than our white brothers and sisters, our Latino, Asian, or other brothers and sisters, and that is a reality that has to also be recognized and dealt with as we think about moving forward in a progressive way. What I will also say, though, I think it's important for us in this moment, which is truly historic in our civic history, that we come together, even if we have differences of opinion, differences of perspective, differences of approach, that we come together with the assumption of goodwill on the part of other people who are concerned about this issue so that we can come together for solutions that help move us forward. Again, this is an issue that raises a lot of passion, and I get that. And there are a lot of people who rightfully are angry and frustrated with the way that they have been treated by the police. But we need to be mindful of the way in which we approach this issue. We need to be mindful of the way in which we articulate our concerns, because I hope and I think that all of you are here tonight because you care about solutions. And that's what we should be about. Now, let me talk to you a little bit about the nuts and bolts of the task force. We organize ourselves in 5 working groups. They were community and police relations, legal oversight and accountability, early intervention and personnel concerns, de-escalation, and a video release policy. We made 126 individual recommendations. And I want to put that number out there because there's been a lower number, 76, that was floated. The number of recommendations were 176. We specifically came together multiple times as working groups to put together a list of recommendations that were intended to be a mosaic. They are not intended to be cherry-picked and taken one at a time. Each of them is a building block on something else important, and we think that that's important for the council and those who are going to be crafting the legislation to recognize. Now, that doesn't mean that everything has to move forward at the same time. Those things have to be, some things can be sequenced, but the plan of the task force was for these recommendations to be taken as a whole. We tried to put together, again, things that reflected the realities, things that were drawing upon best practices from other cities, because a lot of other cities, many come to mind, have gone through this process itself. But it's important to take these together and not try to isolate them and cherry pick them. Let me give you a couple data points about what our process was. We heard from more than 1,000 organizations and individuals over the life of our task force. We had 46 working group members. 750 different people attended the 4 public forums that we held. We conducted more than 100 interviews. We reached 95 community groups, 63 elected officials, and 83 religious organizations. We've talked a little about what we've heard about from the community, and if you've seen the report, and I urge all of you, it's still up on our website, patfchicago.org. Take a look at the report, look at the executive summary, look at the recommendations. A couple of overarching findings. One of the things that was, I think, most concerning to us, and many of you have said this for decades, for years, and know it firsthand, was we felt that there was an absence of a culture of accountability within the police department. That stemmed from the leadership, the collective bargaining agreements, that there was no effective or systematic management tool to address accountability within the department, the disciplinary systems were problematic, and that there was no meaningful community involvement in any of these issues. We believe that one of the things that's really, the things that are important moving forward to be thinking about is recruitment, training, and policing priorities, and let me talk about each of those. Sadly, we still remain one of the most segregated cities in America. But we have to deal with that reality when we think about policing. And because we recruit from segregated neighborhoods, where people, regardless of what their color is, may not have dealt with somebody who is different from them as a peer before they get into the police department. We have to recognize that fact and be smarter about the way that we think about recruiting. And clearly, we have to be smarter about the way we think about training. One of the things that Civil Invictors group, along with Randolph Stone, really focused on was a concept of cultural literacy. The notion that we want to make sure that regardless of where our recruits hail from in the city, that they have the cultural literacy to go into any neighborhood and police. And a lot of what that means is two things in particular. One, it means even if you're going into a high crime neighborhood, not to treat everybody in that neighborhood like they're a criminal. That's critically important. It means affirmatively reaching out to the people of goodwill in those neighborhoods to identify them, to work with them, to support them and lift them up, and making sure that the policing policies and practices actually are responsive to the needs of the people in those neighborhoods, and not some policy or practice that is composed external to the people and then foisted upon them. On training, additionally, we believe that, and we recommended that community members be part of the training of the police department. Other cities across the country do this. Again, it's not rocket science, but in order to learn about the community, you need to engage the people who live in those communities. Community involvement should be an intrinsic part of the training of every police officer, not just the new recruits that come in on board, but also the continuing education, if you will, of training. And these principles have to be part of the overarching policing priorities for the police department, and we've given very specific recommendations on that. And these are important because these issues impact the entire Chicago community in significant ways, and clearly fundamental reforms are needed. Key findings regarding police-community relations: a lack of acknowledgement of racist history in the CPD history, lack of acknowledgement about entrenched biases that exist today. Many of you who work for companies know that long ago, companies got smart about the fact that it was important to have a diverse workforce. But diversity doesn't happen overnight. And diversity means that we also have to educate ourselves about each other's differences and respect those differences. I talked before about cultural literacy. But implicit in that, no pun intended, is the notion of unconscious bias, which we all have. And it's not different in the police department, and it's critically important if we're really going to rebuild the trust between the police and the community, that we start employing some of these very well-tested techniques that the private sector uses within the police department, and I think that's also very important. I would be remiss if I didn't talk, at least briefly, about the interaction of the police department with our youth. We heard from young people, particularly young men of color, all across the city about the challenges that they have faced just walking down the street, being outside of their school, assumptions that they believe have been made about them because they dress in a certain way. They wear their clothing, their hair, or they listen to music, or they're associating with other people. We have to break down those barriers. We have to listen to our young people. And a part of the progress that has to be made is understanding that youth are valuable and valued. They perceive policing in a very different way. And we've got to educate police officers about things like trauma and the respect for our young people. If we lose a generation of young people who grow up having zero respect for the police, we are going to be a sadder country, a city for it, and we will be poorer for it. We've got to rebuild the trust, and where it starts, in my view, is with embracing our young people as folks who can contribute something of value and not simply dangerous thugs in neighborhoods. That is critically important. Let me talk also briefly about the legal oversight and accountability. I think, have concluded, and you have already, that the oversight structure is fundamentally ineffective and broken. We recommended, and I know that the mayor has now embraced this, that IPRA be replaced. There was a comment earlier about the collective bargaining agreements. That is one of the areas that has to be addressed. The supervisors' agreements expired on June 30th this year. The FOP's contract expires on June 30th of next year. And we have to address the many provisions in the collective bargaining agreements that are an impediment to accountability. We have a long list of those in our report, and I won't go through them all now, but they clearly are a problem and have to be addressed as part of any kind of comprehensive reform. I'm going to speak till I'm finished. Early intervention and personnel concerns. We talked about a general culture of accountability, and I'll be brief on this point. We have to address the fact that there are too many officers who are not doing their job the right way. There are a number of officers who are doing their job the right way, but those people need to be supported by addressing the fact that there are too many officers who are collecting CRs, who are abusing their privilege to be police officers, who are making arrests and then not showing up for court. The list goes on and on. These people are well known. The city has already taken steps to engage the Chicago Crime Lab to design a early intervention software program, a management tool, but that's years away and millions of dollars that haven't been sourced yet. What needs to be done in the interim is we need to deal with these folks. It's not enough to talk about it, we need to deal with them. We know who they are. They need to be put through a process to determine whether they're fit for duty, and if they're not, they need to be out of the police department. We need to talk about supervisors. That was another issue. There's not enough of them. There have been a number of classes that have been stood up recently, but there need to be more supervisors. Those supervisors need to be given an actual job description that includes their responsibility for the accountability and conduct of their officers. They need to be supported, but that needs to be an issue that needs to be addressed. One of the other areas that we worked on is de-escalation. And I think it was Alderman Arena who talked about the CIT training. But I also want to focus your attention on something somewhat different, which is every encounter between the community, a citizen, and the police has the potential to escalate. And the officers need to be trained in ways in which to address these issues so that they don't take a simple contact. They don't take a simple contact with a citizen and turn it into something more. I also want to urge, and this is one of the things that we talked about in our report, there's a stigma attached to mental health. And too many people, when they have a person that they're taking care of or they're responsible for who has mental health challenges, they call into 911. They call in, sir, excuse me, sir, yeah.
Just really quickly, the more we interrupt, the longer this takes, and we don't get time for you all to speak forward. So I want to give her an opportunity just to get through this.
All right, I'm winding down. De-escalation is important, and we have to deal with the mental health issues. A couple final points.
But you should get to the issue that people want to hear. You want punishment for cops that do make crimes? You're going to hear that. You're going to hear that.
I encourage the caucus in the department and in the city council to go beyond the 3 issues that are included in the proposed ordinance. We really need to take ownership of this process as a city. Other cities have gone through a similar process that we're going through now. The problem is that if we don't take the steps now and we wait on the Department of Justice, we are going to be in this for longer than we need to be. It's going to cost millions of dollars no matter what, but if we make the changes now, we're going to shorten the period of oversight. For example, Los Angeles, I believe, has been under a consent decree or some form of it for 13 years. Detroit, a similar story. Other cities, New Orleans as well. And we need to take advantage of the opportunity that we have now to make the changes that are necessary so that we can move forward. But it's got to be comprehensive. It's got to be citizen-led and citizen-involved. It has to be transparent. And I commend you for taking this initial step in opening up this process to the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, at this point, yes, this is now an opportunity to speak. All right. Before we get to that, I want to acknowledge a few folks in the building. Von Hugh, fellow at Asian Americans Advancing Justice. Dr. Lance Williams, head of the Inner City Studies at Northeastern Illinois. Brother Cam Howard with Africans Charged Genocide. Attorney Todd Belcourt, Attorney Paul Strauss, Tracy Sitka, head and founder of the Chicago Justice Project. So these are a lot of individuals who have been fighting to make sure that these things come to pass. We'll open the floor at this point to the testimony now. I want to go ahead and give the community an opportunity to speak out. 2 to 3 minutes, please, because so many of you have so many important things to say. I have a list of folks who filled out the cards that want to give an opportunity to speak. The first I'm going to call Frank Chapman, field organizer at CAAP or RPI.
You know, I was really getting upset
Into the mic, please.
because I can talk in it, just let it sit there. You know, we don't want to be razzled and dazzled with bullshit today. We need to have a serious discussion, and you guys need to learn how to listen.
Into the mic.
You need to learn how to listen. Yeah, I'm talking in the mic. Can y'all hear me?
Now we can.
Yeah, okay.
There you go.
Okay. I say y'all need to listen. Because see, what's going on here is what's been going on in this city for too long. And I'm not smiling about it either. What's going on here is people are being murdered. We know who the murderers are. You know who they are. You're making excuses for them and you're covering up for them. And I'm not talking about just no one person. I'm talking about the mayor. I'm talking about the city council. For 400 days. For 400 days, you knew that Laquan McDonald had been murdered. You knew that. You know, you knew that the mayor was covering it up. You knew that. You know. Now you call us in here and talk about police reform like none of this stuff ever happened. You also know that several of those police officers, I don't know if it's 3 or 4 of them, they all gave false reports. Okay? They all gave false reports. Jason Van Dyke is under indictment. How come they're not under indictment? They all gave false reports. Why are they? If you mean business, then start prosecuting these killer cops and sending them to jail. Don't come in here talking to us about no police reform, and you got serial killers on the police force walking around there killing people. What we need in this city, I'm gonna finish it up. What we need in this, you know, you let that lady talk for a long time.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you let her talk for a long time.
Go ahead, Frank. I don't want no problems.
And she wasn't talking about nothing, you know. All right? If we really want to do something about what's going on in the city, the people got to do it. We got to do it. Not the politicians. Y'all gonna do what y'all been doing, you know. Politicking. See, this ain't about no politicking, you know. We are talking about empowering the people in this city, especially black people, to hold the police accountable for the crimes that they commit. That means an all elected, all civilian police accountability council. So I just want to announce to you guys here, because I want you to know this. We just introduced that bill into the city council yesterday. Okay? So now you got some real options. You got some real options now that you never had before. You know, you ain't got to go for this piecemeal reform stuff. You ain't got to go for rearranging the chairs on the Titanic. You know, you ain't got to go for that. You know, we need to take power. This ain't about no trust. It ain't about us trusting you and you trusting me and all that. Yep. This is about power. We don't have the power over the police. We need to have power. We need to have the power to determine who polices our community and how our community's police.
Thank you.
That's what we need.
Thank you.
Community control of the police.
I want to call up. I want to call up Rev Brown from CPAC next. Let's call up Rev Brown from CPAC next. Are you still here? Say it again. Reverend Brown from CPAC.
He's coming up. Hey, Jeff.
Yes,
Jeff,
yeah, absolutely. Come
lower
on
the
up.
mic. Oh.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Reverend Catherine Brown. I am a pastor of Kingdom Life Center. I am a victim, me and my 8-year-old and 1-year-old child, of police brutality. The lady you see all over the news being beat by the police. Well, I heard Ms. Lightfoot when she said she wants solutions. Now here I am, a woman, before that even happened to me, was a liaison between the community and the police, who served the police, helped them to bring unity and support between the community and the police since 2006, working in the 21st Ward. Now, I have true experience about these police being liars. They are not scared. They are not uneducated on how to act. They are total liars. Officer Murphy and Officer Lopez made up a lie on me. They made it up and said that I drugged them with my car, and then under oath they claim I drugged them by my hand. I never had contact with her. She never had contact with me until I bagged that car out of there and got in the front of my neighbors so they could see what was going on, and she beat the mess out of me and sprayed me with mace and lied on my 8-year-old child who's a diabetic and asthmatic and said my daughter at 8 years old beat her up in 2nd grade. So if Miss Lightfoot and the rest of them want solutions, here is the solution. Like Mr. Chapman said, and everyone else in here is thinking, lock them up. They don't need no more training. They've been trained. They're pretending and playing games with you. And we don't want that no more. What we want is CPAC. What do we want? CPAC. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? CPAC. When do we want it? Now. When I say CPAC, you say now. CPAC. Now. CPAC. Now. When I say CPAC, you say now. CPAC. Now. CPAC. Now. What do we want? CPAC. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? CPAC. When do we want it? Now. When I say justice, you say now. Justice. Now. Justice. Now. When I say justice, you say now. Justice. Now. Justice. Now. So those that are in charge, and I know the bell has rung, you heard. Now this is for my aldermen, because I love my aldermen. I see some of them that I've done worked with sitting on this panel. They know my character. I ain't gonna point you out. You know who I am, because I work with a lot of them. But I'm gonna say this to the aldermen. Not one of your co-workers who sits on the council with you was able to vote you in. Not one. It's the people in your ward that are sitting out here today. So when we come to you about giving us CPAC, and you know you're gonna have to get out there again with your little flyers and saying vote for me, coming around real soon, you let your people know, and the mayor, because the mayor couldn't put you in your seat, that I'm going with the people and the constituents, and I promise if something go wrong, I'm in your corner by voting the right thing with that ordinance. Because if you don't do that, you all better think about who you vote for the next time. Instead of turning all our schools around, we better turn city council around. You better recognize who said they gonna help you and make sure they do it, okay? Y'all be blessed.
Theodore Daffin with CPAC.
Who is that?
Theodore Daffin. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I apologize if I'm not. Stay seated. We'll bring the mic to you.
Take your time. Take your time. Want to sit down?
Hi, my name is Theodore Daffin. I grew up in Robert Taylor on the South Side. I would study technology and try to be the best person I could be. I became a business owner, since 22, and I work for myself. I paid for everything I ever had since I was 14. I never did anything to nobody. A while ago, I was being harassed by cops. Very long while, over 20 years, and a group of people. Since then, I had stuff where my house been broken into. I used to have a business that I used to sell roses and teddy bears all over the city. I had about 30 clubs I used to do. And I used to do Argonne, the Riv, sell stuff at Soldiers Field. I used to travel the country selling sportswear with Novelty. I was the #1 salesperson. Cops were extorting money from me, wanted 25% of my money. And they used to follow me around. Even some people that famous cops was following me around. Some chiefs of police was following me around. Another chief of police stopped another chief of police from beating me up in the alley. I was beat up sometimes in my house, and some other people that I know, they used the friends and some people I know to attack me, to cover up, to make the police crime. They slandered my name, told people I was a criminal, destroyed all my relationship with business and relationship with women. I'm a business guy. I probably showed about 150 people how to work for themselves and make jobs. I'm a technology commercialization specialist. I'm self-taught. They were selling my products and trying to make me look like I'm some kind of bad guy. Couldn't get medical help for more than 20 years. I'm injected with I'd say about 45 pounds of stuff. That's why you see my stomach and my body bloated up like this. I normally don't look like this, right? I can't go to the doctor, and the cops would go to the hospital and tell them, don't wait on me. They would say stuff like this is my imagination. Okay? They were doing surgery over here, they did it over here, and they were going around saying that, addressing me as a woman. They rape men, they break in my house, beat me up, were poisoning me. I had lab reports from SmithKline. I had to go to other countries to get lab reports. They said them from other countries, we don't take them. But if somebody's poisoned, somebody's poisoned. I hope everybody, the council member, everybody here, put my name on your Facebook book, because the media tried to shut me down. They were saying, lying on me and trying to make me look like I was a bad guy. I never did nothing to nobody. And they tried to financially break me. They didn't understand I had 8 ways of making money. All weren't honest. And so what they did is they cost me over $100,000 a year business. They were telling people don't do business with me. They also tried to financially break me. They stole money from my bank account. I had to pay money for my health care. And I can't work because I got damage to my bone. I got fractured bones. They'll hit you in such a way that your bone is not broken, but it's fractured. But if you lift something, it can break your bone. And I can give evidence of it. But the IPRA and stuff is joke, and professional standard, they never did nothing. They knew it. They even saw them follow me around. They would follow me all around the city, just beating me. And then they would escalate the problem. And I never did nothing. I was like, what'd I do to you? They wouldn't talk about it, nothing like that, but I hope we can talk about it and stop them right now. There should be instant stop for police brutality. Somebody should be able to go to somebody and tell them they're being beat. You should have a council meeting that you can instantly stop somebody from harass. And you should have a crime victims thing. Because a lot of these people lost money. I lost a business. It cost me over $100,000 a year. And I didn't get nothing, right? I had to run to Europe. I had to run around the world.
I'm so sorry to interrupt. I want to make sure that we get a chance to get some other people in.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your remarks.
I want you guys to have liability insurance for the cops too. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Milton Johnson, Director of Community Relations at Bobby E. Wright. Milton Johnson still here? All right. Hanses Farmer, City College's adjunct faculty. Sure. Yeah.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay. Again, my name is Milton Johnson. I'm with the Bobby E. Wright Comprehensive Behavioral Health Center. I did have some comments, but I don't know if I want to make those comments right now based on what I'm hearing. And what I'm hearing, my brothers, are very powerful and very true.
Preach.
Ms. Lightfoot made mention of, and one of the things that I'd like to see the council do is to concentrate on the recruitment of African American police officers for African American communities and stop saying minorities. We did a minority recruitment. No, we need African American police officers to police African American communities. Now, I know that's going to take some time, but I believe it's something that we need to do. And during that recruitment process, I noticed that the recruitment was always at places like this, maybe Harold Washington Library or College. The recruitment needs to take place in places that the African American community is comfortable with. First of all, when you talk about the police department to our community, you're really talking foreign. They don't want to hear it. They don't like police. They really don't like police officers when you talk about becoming a police officer. And so you have to talk about the importance of our community being policed by people of the same color. You have to talk about the importance of it and the need. Now, I heard Ms. Lightfoot make mention of training, and I was kind of shocked. I hear a lot of talk about CIT training, which is crisis intervention training, and I'm hearing that approximately 2,000 police officers right now have that training, and that they're not really they can't force any of the officers to take it. And it's strictly voluntary. And I think any efforts are good. However, when you talk about the African American community again, and you talk about mental health, you talk about a community that does not embrace mental health services like they should. So that's an ongoing process to educate the community on what mental health is. Now, when you say that what a person needs to do when it comes to a CIT officer is to say, I have a problem here, and this person has been diagnosed with a mental illness, so I need a CIT officer to respond. That's just right. That's just a few people. The bottom line is our community is jam-packed with people that are undiagnosed, that are suffering from trauma, that are in crisis situations.
Thank you, Mr. Farmer. I appreciate it. We want to just wrap up right
I will.
Here. Just come back to it for
all right.
Because they're gonna get you if they don't get a chance to speak now. I don't want you to get hurt leaving up out of here.
All right, I understand, my brother. And in addition, when you have a officer come out for CIT, mind you, they're coming to respond to an African American. And African American mental illness is not the same as our experiences that created the mental illness are not the same. But to get to the point that I want to make, cultural sensitivity training. I heard cultural literacy, but they need to understand, and I run into resistance like I ran into resistance when I first talked about mental illness.
I'm so sorry,
to the
Doctor.
community.
We have to let
I'm
some
running
people
into
get
the
in-
same
get in this
resistance
conversation.
when I talk about cultural sensitivity training. So that's something that needs to be done, my brother. I used to work at WVON too. How about
Man,
that?
good to see you.
All right.
Good to see you, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Put your hands together for Dr. Williams. Again, I'm not trying to be rude. I just want to make sure that we get as many people in on this as we can. Hunter's Farmer, go ahead.
Okay. My name is Hontus Farmer, like he said. I teach science here at the city colleges, and I teach math out at DuPage, and I live in the suburbs, so none of you are my congressmen, or excuse me, aldermen. Okay, I don't know how the city works. But I do know what it's like to have run-ins with the police. Okay, I've had them on campuses that I teach at. For example, at a certain other college, I've had somebody act like I stole something when I was carrying a telescope out of the door. You know, they don't work inside. You got to be able to see the sky. And I had a police officer go for their gun in a manner as if they were Billy the Kid drawing down on somebody when I swiped to get into a certain faculty lounge. Okay, so I know what it's like to deal with police and security officers in places where I work, where I should have authority, you know. There was a senator who talked about having that happen to him as he was serving in Senate. The basic problem is we can have clear video of police officers shooting somebody and they don't even get put on trial, much less locked up. The basic problem is that there's two legal systems. If you're well connected, like say you were Secretary of State for a while, you can do some things and get away with them. If you're a police officer and you do certain things that would get somebody else put in jail, you get away with it. And that's the problem. That's the fundamental problem, and until we address that, there's not going to be any change. And how can we do that? It should be automatic. That if a police officer is caught shooting somebody who was not armed and who was, for example, laying on their back with their hands up, like we saw in Miami, if we see something like that, they should be put on trial, period. That they should be indicted and put on trial automatically. We have to hold police to a higher standard. I'm held to a higher standard because I'm a teacher. Police should be no different.
Thank you, Ms. Farmer. Thank you so much. Next, we're going to go Alex Wolf. Is this Alex? Oh.
Yeah, hi. Can everyone hear me? Okay.
You have to speak right into the...
I have two questions and two stories. I'm going to start with the first story. It just happened to my husband and I yesterday. We were out playing Pokemon Go in the alleys in our neighborhood, and we live on the north side. It's an LGBT community, and it's a mostly white community. And we were walking through alleys looking for Pokemon, and we were going behind dumpsters and places with lots of graffiti. We were going under bridges and doing all that kind of stuff. A police officer, two police officers in a car pulled up to us really slowly, and they passed us, and they looked at us, and I thought we were in trouble for something, and they said, "Are you guys okay?" And I said, "Yeah." And they're like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "We're playing Pokemon." And they laughed, and they laughed, and they left. And this was about 11:30 p.m. So I wondered to myself, what would happen if that was a black couple at 11:30 a.m. walking through alleys? They didn't know who we were when they came up from behind, but when they saw our faces, they just asked us if we were okay. The second story I have is a lot of people that I know, most of the people I know are white because of the segregation in this city, and I'm from Detroit. The segregation in Detroit is insane. I grew up in a white neighborhood and went to white schools. White people don't know what the experiences of black people are. So I just started a group with my husband It's called White People for Black Lives, Chicago. And I'd love you guys to join if you're white, black, or whatever. We're talking about, we're mostly on the north side, and it's very white. As someone said earlier, I think it was Miss Lightfoot, and I'm not really sure where she is. I think she left when we started asking questions. She didn't really want to hear them, I guess. But
Police board meeting.
It's a big problem, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to read a book called The New Jim Crow, and I would like it if everybody in this hall read that book.
Just a few more seconds.
All races are welcome, and the only question I have, that's my two stories, but the question I have is that two of the current proposals suggest the Inspector General should appoint a civilian board instead of the mayor appointing the board. But the mayor appoints the Inspector General. Why can't the civilians appoint the Inspector General?
All right, thank you. Up next, Michelle D. Page, mother and CRS leader. Michelle Page. Renetta Harvey.
Okay.
Make sure you speak directly into the mic.
Okay, we must first remember that the police was always set up to do injustice. It was set up to catch runaway slaves, so we must never forget that. And we must never forget that, you know, justice have never came to us as black people in this country. So we must unite and control our own communities, and that's the only solution. What we don't understand is that we're already segregated, whether we want to accept it or not. We're segregated, so we have to deal with that like it is and accept it for what it is, because we're going to continue to die in the streets if we don't. We are already, this is happening all over the world, and we need to stop turning a blind eye to it and understand it, that it's a problem. It's a problem. And we will not get justice if we don't understand the problem. The problem is that white people don't respect our lives. Most of them don't. And some of them do, but for the most part, this is a system built on white supremacy. And if we don't understand that concept, we will never live in this country in peace. So all of this talking about, you know, train the police over and all of that, that is not the answer. You cannot control and train a white racist mind. This is the system that's controlled to kill us. This is nothing new in this country. This is nothing new. So if we want to correct the system, we need to understand that we are the original people of the planet Earth, and we need to understand that we are the divine people, and that's why we forgive everybody for every damn thing that they do to us, but we don't forgive ourselves, and we can hate each other all day long, but if we don't unite, if we don't unite and understand that the only way we can get through this is us uniting with each other and let everybody else unite with each other like they've been doing. They ain't been concerned about us until white folks started getting killed in the street. So we never need to forget that. So that's all I want to say, and I want to leave like this also. We should never, we just need to understand that it's a war on black people in this country. And until we get justice in this country, God is going to continue to whoop America's behind. So
Thank you, Ms.
never
Harvey.
forget that.
Thank you, Ms. Harvey. I want to call up next Von Hugh, fellow at the Asian Americans Advancing Justice. Say it again. Oh, yeah. Oh, come on up. Come on up. I'm sorry, I don't know your name. I put the card away, but go ahead.
Right. My name is Michelle Page. I'm a mother. My name is Michelle Page. I'm a mother. I'm a member of Community Renewal Society. We've been fighting with this issue for over 2 years now. We met with Irving to introduce, we've been fighting for this over 2 years. We've met with the mayor several times. My concern is, like I said, I'm a mother. I have a 23-year-old male son who just made 23 July 12th. I sent him away. He's been gone for me 2 years because I'm not safe with him living in Chicago. I sent him to take a job out of state. Until the police are held accountable for their actions, none of this is not going to stop. When they enforce the laws that you have to put a seatbelt on, everybody knows seatbelt saves lives. I myself didn't even wear my seatbelt. But when we start saying that there's consequences for not wearing your seatbelt, you buckled up. Until we say police are held accountable for their actions, nothing is going to stop. We need to, they all need to be, and not all cops are bad. Not all cops are bad. And everybody's saying, you know, oh, there's black on black crime. One of the reasons we have a lot of black on black crime is because the black community does not respect the police to do the job that they've been trained to do. I'm a law-abiding citizen. If you do something to me, I'm going to call my brothers first, which I know, because I know my brothers is going to take care of what, if I call the police, first of all, they may not come. When they do come, they won't respect me. They're not going to care. Correct. Right, but my brothers, yeah, my brothers, because, and then, so my brothers take care of Boo Man, whoever done what, then Boo Man's brother does something. That's part of the reason we have a lot of black on black crime.
30
so to
seconds.
say, for my son, I'm afraid of the gangs and the police. The gang members are an illegal gang. The police is a legal gang. That's the way I see it.
Thank you. Mark Clements, CPAC. Mark Clements, CPAC.
Pongo, I'm going to tell Perry on you. But, and I want the aldermen to listen to me, and to listen to me carefully. Each of you took time to design child abuse laws. You allowed, and the reason I say you, because you only took over for someone else within your particular districts or wards. Children taken down to police stations and literally tortured, having their genitals grabbed and squeezed. Well, the child was told to send the complaint through the Office of Professional Standard. I wonder why. Because the appropriate agency never got an opportunity to investigate those 32 African Americans that were sent through that type of system. What the city did, it paid out money. That's what happened. And it remained quiet. And it said, don't tell nobody. We're going to give you this. Just keep it quiet. We're going to make it into a settlement. So now we don't have to take no blame for this. But 13-year-old Marcus Wiggins taken to a police station who had his genitals grabbed and squeezed. Here it is, Mark Clemens, you're looking at him, taken to a police station in 1981. I looked at black faces in front of a courtroom. William Cousins was black. And I told him, hey, the detectives grabbed my wee-wee. The system felt more comfortable in giving Mark Clemens 4 natural life terms. That's where I was, 28 years of my life. And there's no accountability, not even today. The city can dish its dollars out. But where is the protection for the kids? Where is the protection for those men that are still languishing inside of those prisons? And when we tell you, I can care less about the city. It dipped on my territory. And when we tell you, as I approach the alderman today, clean your communities up. These young children need jobs. When I was a child, alderman gave me a job. It was Jesse White who gave me a job. Now you don't want to give them a job. In closing, if you got a heart, contact the children and family services and ask them to open up these cases. Ask them to look into these cases where men and women had electrical objects stuck in their rectums and placed up to their genitals. And want me to tell you in closing, the city of Chicago, and I know y'all just inherited, ought to be ashamed of yourselves, my brother, because want me tell you, we fought to give y'all an opportunity. And want me tell you, we had to fight these people to put you where you at. And your father, I knew him personally. I swept to make little odd dollars. We need to get it back together. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. I think I called him again. He might be back here. Dr. Lance Williams, head of inner city studies at Northeastern. Oh, hey, how you doing? Come on up.
Peace and blessings, everybody. How y'all doing? All right. For those that don't know me, my name is Lance Williams. I'm a professor at the historic Jacob H. Carruthers Center for Inner City Studies on the South Side, Northeastern Illinois University, where we pay particular attention to our community and preparing our students to go out there and serve the community. I was invited here. I was somewhat reluctant because I didn't know and typically know what these types of things turn into. I mean, I know what they turn into, and I was concerned at the beginning, but I'm glad that we have organized ourselves in a way that we can respect everyone's opinion. I do respect many of these aldermen who don't have to be here. We know that it's a lot of aldermen that would never come into a place like this. So I wanna give them big ups for just being here, because they ain't gotta be here. But let me just say this. My area of expertise as a son of a former vice lord, my father was one of the founding members of the Vice Lord Nation. And he raised me as a young brother to serve my community. He kept me up out of them streets, but he said, you go to school, boy, and you learn so that you could do the kind of research that's gonna come back and help our community. So I will say this, although my research primarily involves so-called street gangs and youth violence, we are doing some research at the center now that deals with police-involved shootings. And I'll say this just preliminarily, that it appears that the real problem with police-involved shootings, because it's a lot of different types, but the big problem in early investigation in this is that we have a particular group of police officers. In the hood, we call them dick boys, right? Jump out boys. These tend to be younger white officers within the ages of 26 to 32. Who are no more than 5 or 6 years on the force. And they get these assignments to come into the hood and police. But our perception of them in this study is that they police the black and brown communities as if they are an occupying force, that they are the military and we are the enemies. So I would suggest to our aldermen at some point, the policy within the police department is going to have to be that these particular type of officers should not be able to come into the communities this early in their tenure to police. That's one of the early recommendations. But let me just say another two things that I think you might want to focus on as it relates to what's going on in our community. The violence that is happening, we can trace back to 2 specific public policies that have been in place for the last 10 years. One is the Chicago Public Schools Renaissance 2010. This is very important as legislators, as lawmakers, to go back and look at that policy and see what negative impact it has had on all of our communities. I'll say that one of these priority areas is to look at how our schools have been privatized, those who are now profiting off of public education. So as a result of Renaissance 2010, for over 10 years, too many black and brown youths have been displaced from their traditional community schools, and they've been tracked into schools outside of their neighborhoods. So to correct these problems, we need to bring back to the community quality education that offers college prep, that offers professional training, and also vocational training. This will reduce the fear that many of our young people have to leave the communities and go to school, particularly young black and brown males who now feel that going to school is too dangerous and risky, so they don't go. And when they don't go, of course, now they're not eligible to what? To work. So now they're out on the streets, and they become vulnerable to that population on the police force that look at them as they're animals, wild animals to be hunted. And so to fix the schools, I think, would solve a lot of these problems. But then, and I'm glad my brother mentioned the mental health issues, because these young brothers for the last 10 to 15 years have been out of school, and they're looking around them and they see they don't have chances. So now they have a sense of, well, if we really looked at it from a clinical perspective, they're clinically depressed, right? They're hopeless, they're angry, because they're uneducated and unemployable. So when you combine that with substance abuse, then you got a powder keg waiting to explode or to be exploded on. So this widespread depression among these young men of color, plus easy access to guns, now we have high rates of interpersonal shootings that leads to homicide. But you can all trace it back to the schools not functioning, right? And then another part of this that we need to look at is we have to look and see who's dumping all of these weapons into our community and make sure that we come up with some policies to make sure we have some harsh penalties for those dumping these weapons in our community. So let me stress, while providing immediate mental health services to this population is a much needed short-term solution, but it's not going to permanently fix our problems. We got to fix this apartheid school system that we have. A school system that serves whites and a very few students of color, black and brown students of color. And we got to start with, number one, we got to have a school board that's responsive to the community more than it's responsive to the mayor's office. That's just plain and simple. Listen, we learned from the United Nations 2013 study, global study on homicide, that violence is specifically related to the lack of development and desperation. By far, the highest homicide rates in the United States of America are to be found in sub-Saharan Africa, and guess where else? In Chicago, in some of our South Side, not all of them, but some of our South Side and West Side neighborhoods. So we got a problem on our hands. And there are a lot of things that we can do. I'm gonna stop because I know how we are. But I really appreciate y'all coming here. Y'all ain't gotta be here tonight. I'm glad I'm speaking on behalf of myself and my family. Let me just say, my wife and I, we live in the hood. We live on 53rd and Wabash in the war zone, where we raising our kids. We raising our 7 children who have gone through, we homeschool them, but then at a certain point we send some of them to schools. And I could tell you this, I live right down the street from Blackgate, where they popping them things all day, every day. And I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I got more fear of them dig boys when they rolling down the block. They coming down, they spirits are vicious. And they looking at us like we some wild animals. And if you say something, you're gonna have a problem with them. That element on the police force, we got to deal with. And it's important that we deal with them from a legal perspective before the hood really is inspired to deal with them from the perspective that we've seen in Baton Rouge and Dallas. So I thank y'all for listening, and y'all stay strong and continue to respect each other as we're making our comments tonight. Thank y'all very much.
Another big thank you to one of our policy experts for the evening, Dr. Lance Williams, man. Give him a round of applause one more time for contextualizing that a bit. I want to call up next Joseph Miller, 25th Ward IPO.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming out tonight. Alderman, thanks for organizing this. Coming from the 25th Ward, I'm introducing or just familiarizing people with a person that Mayor Emanuel turned down for the CPD superintendent. Former Marine, former Baltimore police officer. He was retired. He was showing us the signs of police brutality, misconduct, way before the tragic death of Freddie Gray. I have his full application here that was sent to the police board for you as articles. He's going to be in town April 4th or August 4th through 7th receiving his PhD. He has great insight. This is someone that you guys should definitely meet with and talk to. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We're going to call up another policy expert, Von Hugh and Carmen Yang with Asian Americans Advancing Justice and with Chicago and Coalition for a Better Chinese American Community. Definitely want to hear your comments.
Thank you. My name is Van Huynh. I am with Asian Americans Advancing Justice Chicago. Asian Americans Advancing Justice is part of a larger Chicago immigration policy working group made up of immigrant rights organizations that serve and represent communities across the Chicago area. Advancing Justice Chicago, along with many of our community partners, including the Coalition for a Better Chinese American Community, who also sent representatives here tonight, began advocating for these issues in 2014 following the horrific verbal and physical abuse experienced by Jessica Kleitchek, a Chinese American who was brutally beaten by the Chicago police officers. Seen on surveillance footage, 2 officers threatened to put Ms. Kleitchek, quote, in a UPS box and send her back to wherever the F she came from, while striking her in the head as she was handcuffed and kneeling on the floor. In response, we are working to pass an amendment to the Welcoming City Ordinance to bar city employees from threatening deportation or questioning an individual's immigration status. The amendment would also remove the exceptions that currently allow collaboration between the police and immigrant enforcement, making clear the separation between local law enforcement and federal enforcement of immigration policies. One of the measures that we initially proposed in the Welcoming City Amendment that we hope to carry into the police accountability reform process is public reporting of violations under the Welcoming City Ordinance and of police misconduct against immigrants. For immigrant communities, many of these incidents go unreported and subsequent investigations fail to address police misconduct, especially as it relates to a lack of language assistance and cultural competency within the police department. Police accountability reform is necessary to address the shortcomings in the department and, more importantly, provide a community-based response process to better resolve these issues. In the larger context of police reform, immigrant rights organizations believe it is also important to follow the lead of folks who have been working on this issue, particularly Black-led organizing groups, recognizing that our communities interact with the police in different ways. After the Kleitchek incident, Asian American community members came forward to let us know that what happened to Ms. Kleitchek was not a one-off occurrence. Incidents such as this reinforce false stereotypes that we are perpetual foreigners in this country, and it increases the level of mistrust between the Asian American community and law enforcement. We hear of these stories often, and so I would like to invite Carmen Yang, a youth from the Coalition for a Better Chinese American Community, to talk more about the community's experience interacting with police.
Thank you, Vaughn. Good evening. My name is Carmen Yang. I immigrated to Chicago when I was 7 years old. Growing up in Bridgeport with many Chinese-speaking residents, language barrier is a huge problem. I've been actively involved with voter registration and had many conversations with Chinese-speaking residents about the issues that affects them. I've heard over and over again from community members about public safety concerns and the fear of interacting with police officers because of language limitations. This problem is worsened when there are medical-related emergencies. When I was younger, there was an incident involving a Chinese Mandarin-speaking lady next to my house when she was having a panic attack. There was a crowd of people around her, and the thing is, none of them spoke English. And so at the time, I was might have been a freshman in high school. And when they saw me, they quickly asked me, do I speak English? And so I could call for help. When the ambulance arrived, they would not take her to the hospital until the lady who was having a panic attack gave them all her personal information. There was not a single translator that came with them, so I had to be there the whole time trying to translate back and forth while she was shaking uncontrollably and I could barely make out her words. They got frustrated when I didn't know how to say certain words because I don't speak Mandarin fluently. My native dialect is Thai Chinese. The process was just very long and really frustrating for everyone who was involved. Scenarios like this goes to show how much we need language support in our police and emergency departments in Chicago. Oftentimes, the police are not equipped to handle cases in the community due to the lack of cultural competency. For a tight-knit community like the one in Bridgeport, we often see police officers as outsiders and not people who are part of the community. Police accountability reform is important to the immigrant community and our concerns. Our experiences need to be part of the larger conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. Karen Winters, the 411 movement for Pierre Lowry. Good to see you again, by the way.
Good, good. Thank you. Good evening, family. I'm going to turn around this way because, I don't know, y'all not taking no notes. I don't see nobody really writing nothing down. Like, family, I want to say I heard several things, and I totally agree with the little sister here. Cultural diversity or cultural literacy training is not going to eradicate racism. I am a Raywa Karen. I'm the great honor of Pierre Lowry. My 16-year-old nephew was shot and killed by Officer Sean Hitz on April 11th. So the family immediately organized, because especially after the Laquan McDonald, I read the task force report. I saw how a lot of that thing was played out. So our family, we gathered together, and we are going to fight for justice for my nephew. We're going to do it legally first. You know, we're going to play that paper game with them. But at the end of the day, they might really want to send that man to jail, because I'm going to tell you something. Like the brother said, I got them young brothers over there. They had love for my nephew. And they coming to me, they're like, Auntie, what you want us to do? Right now, I want y'all to wait. We're going to play these paper game with these people. But I'm going to tell y'all something, family. The way they killing us, they have become too aggressive and too comfortable, and we're too passive. So right now, ain't nobody went to jail. They slapping everybody on the wrist. So yeah, hopefully they're going to change some paper, but something's going to change. And I don't know, maybe our family going to be the one to do it, but it will be televised. Y'all going to see it. Y'all going to know about it. Y'all going to know it was us that did it. We loved him. The city of Chicago don't have to waste no ink or no paper trying to offer our family no money. We ain't having it. We don't want it. We want to take y'all to trial. We want to see that man in trial. So the recommendations I have for the police department is, one, they have 24 or more hours to report the incident. And when they did that to Laquan McDonald, everybody lied. Every officer that gave an account lied until the videotape came out. So if we commit a crime and they catch us up, we don't have no 24 hours to wait to tell our story. They want our story immediately, and I think the same thing should happen for them when they commit a murder, especially a murder, any type of brutality. They don't get no 24-hour window to make a report, because y'all know what happened. They get to whispering to each other, changing them stories and switching those things around, and then documenting it. And not only do they document it, they get an audio recording, they get a video recording, they get a written recording. Why they need all that? If they're gonna tell the truth from Jump Street, why do they need all that information? And then they get to go back and recant their stories and change their stories. That's wrong. That's called perjury. If they so transparent and they want to tell the truth, which in my nephew's case, they lying in the door. It's been so inconsistent, and now it's been 90 days. Our family is still waiting on our police report. Why? Why are we still waiting on an official police report after 90 days? So timing, that's another thing y'all need to work on. The timing, how long it takes for us to get those reports. The family, we want that. We don't want the attorney to just have it. We want it also. So those are the things that we prepared to do right now. Like I say, plan A is to play this legal game, this paper game with them, but we have a plan B and a plan C, and it's gonna happen.
All right, thank you, Karen.
Hi, my name is Oscar Ortiz. I'm from Humboldt Park. Here, let me tell you about 1977 in Lemoyne Schoolyard. Poor Freddie. He found out what it means when they say, cops will beat the piss out of you. Literally. In Humboldt Park, let me tell you, there were Puerto Ricans being found hung in the jails, inside the lockup, and every time it was a suicide. Every time. I don't know too many Puerto Ricans that have killed themselves. Flavia, one time she got into a car accident. The police report was all lies. I want to thank this gentleman right here, the professor, because he said it he was right on the head when he said black-brown. Until that unity is solidified, this will keep going on and on and on. And I'm going to tell you why. Because here's another good one. Black policemen in black neighborhoods. What's wrong with that? You understand where and that goes hand in hand with what the professor was saying. These dicks, whatever they were called. All right? Now, the reason why I say there will be peace throughout the city is because now you have your black police officers patrolling the black neighborhoods. You have peace in the white neighborhoods. There's peace in the black neighborhoods. No fear of that violence coming down out of there, spewing over. I mean, this could be done. Here, CPAC. I forgot about why we're here. I really thought that we were here to discuss about electing representatives from the neighborhoods to the police board. Because now you have police saying we're going into fetal position. We're going into fetal position. Try telling that to a police board that's composed of community members. You're going into the fetal position, but you're suspended.
About 20
or
seconds.
you're fired. You think all the other police are going to say, we can't go into the fetal position anymore. We got to go out there and work. I mean, I don't know how plain and clear. I want to thank Mr. Alderman Waggisback, Alderman Arena, Alderman Folks, Alderman Garza, Alderman Urban, Alderman Rodney, Alderman Crockett, and Alderman Raboyes for making time to be out here. But let me tell you, life will be easier for you guys.
Wrap up for us, please.
If you go through this, elected the CPAC. This appointed anything is not going to work, like Chapman's been saying. It just isn't going to work. There's too many bosses involved. Somebody has to respond to somebody else. I didn't read this 176 mosaic of recommendations, but I wonder if some of those are in there.
Right, thank you. Thank you, Oscar. We want to go, give him a round of applause. We only have this room for about 20 more minutes, if that, so we're going to move through pretty quickly. Please keep them to 2 minutes. Yvonne Womack. She says legislation which directly affects police who shoot and kill unarmed men. That's what her comment is related to. You still here? Oh, here she is, working her way to the mic. As she makes her way, I want to let you know that you can email shyprogressivecoalition@gmail.com because we won't get through this full stack. We only have about 20 minutes or so. But go ahead.
Okay. I wasn't going to speak because I said so much has been said that reflects the pain that we all feel when our cousins, brothers, fathers are shot down like my brother was. But then I said, no, he deserves my saying something on his behalf. So my brother was shot and killed by a police officer who said, I thought he was going for a gun in his pocket. What my brother had in his pocket was a hole puncher, because at that time they were punching cars, was part of his job, to punch cars that had some kind of a problem, the smoke, exhaust, whatever. And they had to do that. Shot him. His excuse, I thought he was. How did I know? So my brother's dead. That's it. I thought, and I've heard since that, things like, well, I was scared, I was afraid, how did I know, what did I know? You know, we could all get out here and kill each other on that excuse. Look funny, how'd I know, dress. But I tell my kids, oh, your Uncle Ronnie, he would have just loved that. Oh, look what you done, he'd be so proud of you. Oh, you look just like him. Look how you growing up. Oh, your Uncle Ronnie, oh, that's the kind of joke he would have told. That's how they know their Uncle Ronnie. And in a composition, my daughter, and I didn't even know about it, she wrote a story about what happened with her Uncle Ronnie, this beautiful man that she never got to know. He was in college last year. I mean, the lives, the contributions that we've lost through people who knew what they were doing. They told me he killed my brother because he was afraid he had a gun. I think he killed my brother because he knew he could. And he didn't have to worry about it. He didn't like his swag, he didn't like his look, he didn't like his educated talking. So he killed him because he could. So
Thank you, Miss.
thank you for letting me have this moment. But I do want to say this. What I hear over and over again, legislation, we need legislation that says if police kill our unarmed women and men out here, they will be arrested, they will be indicted, they will go to trial.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Up next, we're going to call Catherine Thomas Paisley.
I'm sorry, not meaning to be disrespectful, but I was one of the first people in the room. And
Go
I
ahead,
did
go ahead,
fill out a
love. 2
paper.
minutes, yeah.
My name is Sister Erica
I
3X,
remember.
and I'm here on behalf of the Justice.
Speak closer.
I'm sorry, my name is Sister Erica 3X. I'm here on behalf of the Justice or Else Local Organizing Committee. And I wanted to address you all to make you understand that I'm tired of Chicago politicians playing Jedi mind game tricks with the people of Chicago. We're tired of all of you standing before us with so-called solutions, when in fact it's the same agenda with new hand-picked faces with new titles and names, mainly Mr. Rahm Emanuel. I say to you that as of today, there will be no more business as usual when it comes to securing Black and Hispanic communities. We cannot and we will not keep allowing people to murder and invade our community with so much hatred in their hearts and call it justice or law. The day is over for that. It's time for justice or else. Everyone has to be held accountable for this corruption. Also, I'm challenging everyone in this room to get up, get involved, and most of all, get active. It's time for real change, not just a Band-Aid to make us feel better for a minute or until this happens again.
30 seconds.
And I also would like to say that we have a solution located on 74th and Stony Island, and that is the FOI. They're willing to go into the communities. They're respected by Black men and Black youth in the community. They're coming with love and respect for our people. So why not give them the opportunity to go into our neighborhoods and make that change? I don't understand what's the resistance when it comes to us policing ourselves. I don't understand that. If we have the solution, give us the opportunity. They have proven results where they went into projects all over the country and made change, progressive change, and the people wanted change. No one wants to, these young men, they do not want to be out here murdering. They don't want to be out here killing, but poverty breeds crime. Bring jobs in, bring retraining in, bring re-entry programs for offenders that have X's on their backs. They go to jail, serve their time, and then when they come out, you still throwing it in their faces that they're offenders. You can't vote, you can't get a job. Mr. Obama just let a whole bunch of them out of jail, but where are the programs that they need to re-enter society and be successful? That is a revolving door, and they're going to go back to the things that they know, which is selling drugs and crime. If you're not offering them a way out, what are you offering them? A way back in? I mean, seriously, let's really be honest and really attack the problems that be.
Thank you. I want to give time for one more. We have time for one more. We're going to, were you the one I called next?
I'm Reverend Catherine Paisley.
We'll do her, then you next, bro. I got you. We got her, then you next. I got you. Go ahead.
I'm Reverend Catherine.
Yeah, that's who I called next, actually. Yeah, Catherine Paisley.
I'm Reverend Catherine Paisley. I'm in the 45th Ward. The systems are broken. We know they're broken. Our schools are broken. Our children don't get the same education in different neighborhoods. We have too many of our citizens with skin that's black or brown in our criminal injustice system. And we know that we have a lack of accountability with our police force. It's imperative that you all who have the capacity to change the systems do so. We're counting on you. My son, who is 18 and has long hair and dresses a little scruffy, can walk safely the 5 blocks from our condo to his job. His friend, who has darker skin, cannot do so unmolested at 4 a.m. It's not fair.
Thank you. I'm going to let my brother close it out.
I'm Jesse. The mic on?
It's on. Keep it close.
I'm Jesse. I'm from the west side.
Put it real close to your mouth.
I'm from the west side. I'm 24 years old. And it's been multiple incidents with police. My main one is the situation that we talking about now. I was in Illinois Rivers, downstate. We going to breakfast in the child line, if anyone been to jail before. We going to breakfast in the child line, and one of the younger officers was being real rude. He get in line, get y'all ass in line for y'all, don't go to child, or woo, I'ma send y'all back on deck. And one of the older strengths, another white person, I ain't finna sit here and lie, pulled him to the side. I heard what he was saying to him because I was in the back of the line. He checked him in the door like, don't talk to these people, bro, like that. They human just like you. Just because of whatever situation they in, that don't take away from nothing of that. They human just like you. So it is true. A lot of these officers, bitches, I'm gonna keep it 100, bro. They bitches, bro, because they use their power they abuse their power, bro. They 24 just like me and think because they got a badge on, a nigga won't shoot them. Bro, I'm telling you right now, bro, I'm taking what Malcolm X did, bro. Hey, yeah, yeah, because I'm speaking real shit. Malcolm X, real life was about that, bro. He ain't say all this political stuff. He said, pick up these guns and fight back for what we believe in, bro. And a lot of y'all up here, bro, ain't doing shit for y'all communities, bro. Real talk, bro. Y'all building shit in our communities, bro, but it's only segregated. White people, I stay right by Westinghouse, bro, and half of the community don't even go to Westinghouse. There's a lot of people, Chinese people, don't interrupt me, bro, while I'm talking, bro. I know it's 30 seconds, bro. It's a lot of Chinese people, white people, people that don't even stay in our community, can't even get in Westinghouse. Bro, it's a lot of stuff that y'all need to do in y'all communities, bro. A lot of y'all bitch-ass niggas, bro, for real, excuse my language, bro, because I know we in a setting like this, bro. Y'all don't do shit for y'all community, bro. Y'all real life don't be doing shit for y'all community. Y'all do it for the money, bro. Stop letting that money take a clothes to y'all, bro. Because y'all ain't doing shit for y'all communities, bro. Y'all doing it for an image, bro. Because when it's election time, that's when y'all gonna start doing shit. When y'all get up in there and start getting them fucking checks, bro, that's when y'all don't even get no fuck, bro. There's been a lot of situations where a officer didn't grab me. I was in a dead fucking wrong. I done gave him a banger, bro, and got out. I ain't gonna sugarcoat this shit, bro. Yeah, I'm in the fucking field, bro. But at the same time, bro, when you better yourself, you way better, bro. Cause I'm a traveler, bro. But what traveler mean to me, love, peace, freedom, truth, and justice, bro. And that's what we need to stick on, bro. Hell yeah, we need to govern these police, bro. Cause a lot of these niggas ain't from our community, don't know nothing about our community, only know stuff about our community from BET, MTV, and that ain't even true, bro. Y'all need to start governing these police officers, bro.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. We got to be out of here by 8:30. Thank you so much, though, and for not missing words either. Don't apologize for saying how you feel. That was the last comment of the evening. I want y'all to put your hands together one more time for everyone who has something to say. And I want to let you all know that you can email shopprogressivecoalition@gmail.com. Alderman Munoz will give you some housekeeping rules and let you know about what's going to be forthcoming.
Muy buenas noches. Otra vez les voy a dar una clase en español. But y'all speak English, right? Right. All right, so here's the bottom line. This is the beginning of a process. Jeff, this is the beginning of the process. This is the beginning of the process that Chicago Progressive Caucus has entailed the City Council to go from neighborhood to neighborhood to neighborhood to hear the comments. Mind you, and let's give a round of applause to the aldermen that are here. We are here to listen. We are not here to debate. We are not here to argue. We are here to listen to you so we can take that back to the City Council and make those changes necessary to the laws where we need to make sure, yes, we need to make sure that this police reform process takes everybody's opinion into account. So thank you very much for coming. We are going to exit on the doors out the back to the left and out the left here. So please exit that way. So thank you very much for coming, and we're going to stick around for question and answers one-on-one. Thank you.